Have you ever wondered what makes people in certain parts of the Mediterranean live such long and vibrant lives? Many of them stay active well into their 80s and 90s, maintaining strong social connections, enjoying delicious food, and preserving their independence. One fascinating element of their lifestyle often goes overlooked: the humble olive. While many folks think of olives as a mere garnish or something you toss into a salad, there is a treasure trove of traditional wisdom surrounding olives that most seniors outside of that region simply never learn. By understanding what makes olives so special and how they fit into a broader way of eating and living, you can tap into a secret that has helped people in that part of the world support their hearts, joints, and overall vitality for centuries. You might be thinking, I'm already set in my ways. Changing my diet now seems overwhelming. That feeling is completely understandable. After all, we've grown up following certain beliefs about what's healthy and what isn't, and many of those beliefs were shaped decades ago. But times have changed, and so has our understanding of nutrition for people over 65. In fact, many new discoveries confirm the wisdom our grandparents and their grandparents knew instinctively, particularly those in sun-kissed Mediterranean regions, where olives aren't just an accompaniment, but an integral part of daily life. What makes this discussion so important is that seniors often face specific health challenges that younger adults don't. Maybe you've noticed your energy levels dipping in recent years, or that climbing a small flight of stairs leaves you breathing more heavily than it used to. Perhaps you've experienced joint stiffness or are concerned about maintaining balanced cholesterol levels as the birthdays roll by. These are the very reasons why we need to pay attention to our diets in ways we might not have considered when we were younger. While olives alone won't magically fix every issue, their nutrients and the habits around them can make a real difference, especially when they're part of a balanced lifestyle. In the next few moments, we'll look at 4 surprisingly powerful ways in which olives and a few related practices can transform your health and sense of well-being. We'll dispel some long-held misconceptions, like the idea that high-fat foods automatically spell trouble. We'll explore the nourishing properties found in olives and how they can boost heart health, ease certain types of discomfort, and even uplift your mood. We'll also talk about how they fit into an overall lifestyle that promotes longevity rather than focusing on just one superfood. Most importantly, you'll walk away with simple, doable tips for adding olives to your daily routine, even if you're on a tight budget or have dietary restrictions. I've spent years talking to seniors about traditional approaches to health. While I'm no doctor, I've been privileged to learn from experts in nutrition, as well as from older adults across the globe who have unlocked the secrets of living well in their later years. If you stay with me, I promise you'll gain insights you may not have heard from mainstream sources. None of this is about magic bullets or overnight transformations. It's about blending time-tested traditions with modern knowledge in a way that is both safe and beneficial. To get the most out of what's coming, I invite you to think about your current habits. How often do you eat olives or use olive oil? Do you consider the benefits of the food on your plate beyond the basics like protein or carbs? Keep these questions in mind, and let's explore together how the modest olive can help you find more energy, strengthen your body, and bring greater enjoyment to your meals without turning your life upside down. The first idea I want to share will challenge the notion that fats are bad and show you how olives can provide a type of beneficial fat that's actually linked to reduced inflammation, improved cardiovascular markers, and better weight management for older adults who need that extra support. Let's dig right in. Many seniors grew up in an era when low-fat or no-fat diets were all the rage. Advertisements, dietary guidelines, and even some doctors pushed the idea that if you cut out fat from your meals, you'd automatically improve your health. This belief became so deeply ingrained that many people over 65 still see all fats as the enemy. The misconception that all fats raise cholesterol, cause weight gain, and clog arteries is one that has lingered long past its expiration date. Consider the story of Evelyn, a 73-year-old retired teacher who had avoided fats for most of her life. She prided herself on never adding oil to her cooking, opting instead for processed light products. Despite her best intentions, she found her cholesterol creeping upward in her 60s and her energy levels dipping. When her granddaughter suggested adding cold-pressed olive oil and a small handful of olives to her salads, Evelyn was skeptical. Wasn't she just adding fat to the problem? What she discovered after making the switch was surprising. Her doctor noticed modest improvements in her HDL levels, often called the good cholesterol, and her overall cholesterol profile. Evelyn also felt more satisfied at meals, which kept her from reaching for sugary snacks in between. This shift in her eating habits resulted in stable energy throughout the day, which she used to take a gentle walk after dinner. Over time, Evelyn found that both her health markers and her sense of well-being improved. Science now tells us that not all fats are created equal, and that monounsaturated fats found in olives and extra virgin olive oil may help support heart health. These fats can help maintain flexible blood vessels, making it easier for blood to flow and reducing strain on the heart. They're also associated with a mild anti-inflammatory effect, which is particularly important as inflammation often underlies many age-related concerns, like joint stiffness and metabolic imbalances. If you want to try this out for yourself, start small. Drizzle a teaspoon or two of extra virgin olive oil over your vegetables, or enjoy a few olives as part of a midday snack with some whole grain crackers or sliced tomatoes. The trick is moderation. Adding a little bit of healthy fat can help you absorb more nutrients from the vegetables you eat while keeping you fuller longer. Pay attention to how you feel, both physically and emotionally. Many seniors report feeling more satisfied and less tempted to indulge in sweets or processed snacks. One caveat to keep in mind is that olives can be high in sodium, so it's wise to rinse them before eating if salt intake is a concern. And if you're on medications for high blood pressure, make sure to check with your healthcare provider for personalized guidance. Remember, the idea isn't to overload on fat, but to replace less beneficial options, like trans fats found in some baked goods, with a type of fat that has centuries of traditional use behind it. Feeling a bit of hesitation? That's natural. Our goal here is to explore a new perspective on a time-honored food rather than force a drastic overhaul. If you have any concerns, it's always best to speak with a qualified medical professional before making dietary changes. Now, before we move to the next idea, take a moment to think about your typical dinner. Does it include a lot of processed carbohydrates or store-bought sauces loaded with hidden ingredients? Could you see yourself swapping some of those out for a simple drizzle of olive oil and a few olives on the side? By questioning long-standing beliefs about fats, you open the door to nourishing your body in a way that feels rich and flavorful, not restrictive. This is also your chance to share your thoughts. How did you feel hearing about Evelyn's experience? Do you have similar concerns about adding fats to your meals? Reflect on that for a moment, because the next insight builds on this idea of how olives can nourish you both physically and emotionally, going beyond just being good fats. Another common misconception many seniors hold is that nutritional improvements, especially those that involve subtle traditional foods, won't make much difference if they're already facing joint aches, balance issues, or other age-related discomforts. The notion is, I've lived this long. How can a small change like adding olives or olive oil help me move better or feel better? That skepticism often causes people to miss out on subtle yet meaningful benefits that could enhance their daily life. Imagine George, age 78, who noticed his hands feeling stiff when he woke up every morning. This stiffness made it challenging for him to do the hobbies he loved, like woodworking. He tried over-the-counter pain relievers and some stretching exercises recommended by his doctor, which helped somewhat, but he still experienced noticeable discomfort. After hearing that a Mediterranean-style diet might support healthy inflammation levels, George decided to add olives and regular use of extra virgin olive oil to his cooking routine. Instead of his usual butter, he began sautéing vegetables in a small amount of olive oil and enjoyed olives as a snack a few times a week. Within a few months, George noticed he could hold his woodworking tools for longer without needing to stop and rest his hands. While it wasn't a night-and-day transformation, the change was enough to let him enjoy his hobby more fully. The gentle anti-inflammatory properties of olives were just one part of George's larger plan. He also did gentle stretches and watched his overall diet, but he credits that shift in his food choices with making a tangible difference in his day-to-day comfort. From a science perspective, the compounds in olives, particularly polyphenols and vitamin E, may help reduce oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is a condition where too many free radicals build up in the body, contributing to inflammation and tissue damage. By incorporating olives, you give your body a small dose of protective compounds that work quietly in the background to support better joint function and overall vitality. Of course, no single food is a substitute for professional medical advice or the medications you may be taking, but olives add a unique dimension to your nutritional foundation. If you're intrigued by this possibility, try incorporating olives in a way that aligns with your personal tastes and dietary needs. For example, if you prefer soups or stews, adding a tablespoon of olive tapenade to your pot can bring a burst of flavor while also infusing the dish with those beneficial nutrients. If hand dexterity is a concern, opt for pitted olives or pre-sliced olives to reduce the hassle in preparation. And don't forget to explore lower sodium varieties if salt is an issue. Emotionally, experiencing less daily discomfort can open doors to activities you thought you had to give up. Perhaps you used to love gardening but found kneeling or stooping became too painful. A slight improvement in how your body recovers or how your joints feel could be the difference between spending hours cooped up indoors versus enjoying a fresh breeze and the smell of flowers in your own garden. This leads naturally into the broader emotional component of including olives and other Mediterranean-style practices in your life, which is more than just physical relief. Before we dive into that, take a moment to reflect on your own daily routine. Is there a small step you could take to introduce olives or olive oil into your meals? Even a minor tweak, like replacing a store-bought sauce with a homemade olive oil and herb dressing, could set the stage for subtle but significant changes. I'd love to know what you think so far. Does George's experience resonate with you, or do you see any potential roadblocks that concern you? Sharing this kind of reflection, even just with yourself or a loved one, can help clarify how this traditional wisdom might fit into your life. Another widely overlooked aspect of Mediterranean traditions is the powerful social and emotional rituals surrounding meals. Many seniors in that region don't just eat for nutrition, they eat as part of a communal, slow-paced experience that deeply nourishes the spirit. By looking at olives as a symbol of connection and heritage, you can transform mealtime from a hurried or lonely event into something you eagerly anticipate each day. Some people assume that at an older age it's too late or too difficult to create a sense of community around meals, especially if family members are scattered across different states or if mobility issues make it hard to go out. Yet consider Joyce, a 76-year-old widow living in a retirement community. She felt isolated after her husband passed away and found herself rushing through meals alone in front of the television. Then she joined a small cooking club at her community center that focused on Mediterranean-inspired dishes, including an array of recipes featuring olives. Twice a month, the group would gather, share stories, and prepare meals together. Joyce noticed that these communal gatherings filled a gap in her social life. She looked forward to swapping recipes, listening to others' stories, and sharing her own experiences. The act of sitting at a table adorned with platters of olives, fresh vegetables, and a simple drizzle of olive oil became a ritual of belonging. Over time, she not only felt happier, but also found that she ate more mindfully, chewing her food thoroughly and savoring each bite, rather than wolfing it down. Mindful eating can aid digestion and help regulate appetite, which is especially valuable for seniors who struggle with maintaining a healthy weight or balancing blood sugar levels. From a research standpoint, there's growing evidence that social connections can have a protective effect on mental health and cognitive function. Enjoying a meal in good company often leads to laughter and conversation, both of which reduce stress hormones that can negatively affect your heart and immune system. Combining this with the nutritional benefits of olives, rich in healthy fats and antioxidants, makes for a double boost to well-being. How can you incorporate this element of communal eating into your life, even if you live alone? You could start by inviting a neighbor over for a simple lunch of whole grain bread, olives, cheese, if tolerated, and fresh vegetables. Or, if in-person gatherings aren't possible, consider having a video call with a friend or family member during mealtime, each of you enjoying a dish that features olives. This sense of shared experience can provide emotional comfort and deepen your sense of connection. When people say, "I don't feel like cooking for just one person," they often miss out on the joy that can come from turning mealtime into an act of self-care. Even if you're by yourself, Try plating a small portion of olives with your meal, arranging the food attractively, and sitting down at a table with no distractions. Savor the flavors, and you might notice a shift in how you relate to food. Before we move on, take a moment to see if you can recall a time in your life when meals were more communal, maybe when your children were young, or during big family gatherings. What if you could bring even a small taste of that warmth into your current routine? Feel free to pause for a second and imagine how that might look or feel. As we approach the final idea, it's important to highlight that olives aren't just about the immediate nutritional and social benefits. They also represent an avenue for seniors to reclaim a sense of self-determination when it comes to their health. Far too often, older adults are told what they can't or shouldn't do, rather than what they can explore. Embracing a Mediterranean secret that's been validated by centuries of tradition might reignite your sense of curiosity and confidence in making choices that support your well-being. A common misconception that holds many seniors back is the belief that major health changes must be guided exclusively by strict medical or institutional frameworks. While medical advice is crucial, especially if you're managing chronic conditions or taking multiple medications, there's also value in blending that advice with culturally rich, time-tested traditions that offer a gentler approach. The myth is that if a recommendation doesn't come in the form of a prescription or an official guideline, it might not be worth considering. Let's look at Aurora, an 80-year-old who was dealing with mild cognitive decline. She was diligent about her doctor visits and followed her medication plan precisely. However, she felt powerless, as if her health was solely in the hands of pharmaceuticals. When her son traveled to Greece for work, he observed how elders there wove olives and olive oil into their daily meals. Intrigued, Aurora began reading about the Mediterranean diet's potential benefits for brain health, including the possibility that antioxidants in foods like olives might support cognitive function by promoting better blood flow and reducing oxidative stress. Encouraged by her doctor, who approved adding more healthy fats to her diet, Aurora began her own Mediterranean-inspired routine. 3 times a week, she prepared a small dish of olives, fresh vegetables, and a bit of feta cheese for lunch. She also added olive oil to her morning eggs or drizzled it over whole grain toast. While this alone wasn't a cure for her cognitive challenges, Aurora noticed that she felt more mentally alert and engaged, especially on the days she took the time to truly enjoy her meals. Her doctor supported the change, noting that a balanced diet could complement her existing treatment plan. This story highlights an essential principle. Combining professional healthcare advice with sensible traditional practices can empower you to be an active participant in your health journey. There's no need to view it as an either-or scenario. When you see tangible improvements, such as better energy, slightly sharper thinking, or a lowered sense of fatigue, you start to trust in your capacity to influence how you feel, even in your later years. If you'd like to take a page from Aurora's playbook, consider keeping a simple health journal for a couple of weeks. Record what you eat, especially if it includes olives or olive oil, and note your energy levels, mood, and any changes in physical comfort. You might be surprised at the patterns that emerge. This process also gives you concrete information to discuss with your doctor, making your appointments more collaborative and solution-oriented. Emotionally, this blend of modern healthcare insights and traditional wisdom can spark optimism. Instead of feeling resigned, you begin to see possibilities. Maybe you can maintain or even improve your mobility, keep your mind sharp, and continue enjoying life's simplest pleasures like a flavorful meal. And in a world where seniors are often bombarded with messages that focus on decline rather than growth, this perspective is refreshing and deeply empowering. We've covered some ground, understanding that olives provide healthy fats beneficial to heart health and weight management, recognizing that their anti-inflammatory properties can gently support joints, learning that the communal aspect of Mediterranean dining brings emotional richness to daily life, and finally exploring how embracing such traditions can restore a sense of agency in your health journey. Now let's bring it all together so you feel confident about taking the next steps in your own life. When you look at the big picture, the story of olives in Mediterranean culture is about so much more than a single type of food. It's a window into a lifestyle that values nourishment, not just physically, but emotionally and socially. By adding olives or olive oil to your meals in moderation, you can tap into heart-healthy monounsaturated fats, antioxidants that may reduce inflammation, and a renewed sense of pleasure at the dining table. If you've been searching for ways to maintain or even regain a sense of vitality, consider how these small shifts in your diet and approach to mealtime could lead to meaningful change. Maybe it's replacing butter in your pan with a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, or rinsing a few olives to enjoy as a snack between meals. Perhaps it's inviting a neighbor over to share a simple Mediterranean-inspired lunch, sparking the kind of conversation that reminds you of life's joy. Or maybe it's keeping a diary of how adding olives to your meals influences your energy levels, so you have something tangible to discuss at your next checkup. These aren't grand gestures, but they have the potential to accumulate into a real, positive difference in your day-to-day life. By embracing the mindful, communal, and wholesome principles that have anchored Mediterranean cultures for generations, you stand to gain better health markers, greater emotional well-being, and a rekindled sense of empowerment. There is a sense of urgency here, but not one driven by fear. The truth is, you deserve to make the most of each day, and what you choose to eat is one of the few things within your direct control. Every small step matters. Your next grocery list, your next meal preparation, your next moment spent sharing food with a loved one or a friend. And if olives can be a gentle catalyst that leads you toward a healthier, more connected way of living, then there's no time like the present to give them a try. It's also worth noting that adopting this mindset can make other positive habits more likely to stick. When you feel motivated by good nutrition, you might find yourself more inclined to take a short walk after dinner or to sign up for a gentle fitness class at your local senior center. The sense of independence and confidence that comes from making proactive choices for your health can extend into other areas of your life, from how you spend your leisure time to the relationships you nurture. If you're ready to make that first move, here are a few ways you can take action. On a basic level, head to your local store. Pick up a jar of olives, preferably low sodium if you're watching your salt intake, and experiment with a new recipe this week. If you prefer a slightly bigger step, consider inviting a friend or family member to share in a Mediterranean-style meal, complete with olives, fresh produce, and perhaps a small piece of fish or lean protein. Feeling more ambitious? Try keeping a short log of what you eat and how you feel, then share those observations with your healthcare team to develop a truly personalized plan that bridges modern medicine with age-old traditions. No matter which path you choose, remember that you aren't just a passive bystander in your later years. You have wisdom, experience, and now a bit more insight into the Mediterranean secret of olives, a secret that can enhance not just your meals, but your overall sense of well-being. As someone who has seen countless seniors reclaim their vitality through small, consistent changes, I encourage you to trust your instincts, seek out support when needed, and most importantly, enjoy the journey. Thank you for taking this time to explore a world of flavor, tradition, and health. May your next bite of olive remind you that your best days aren't behind you. Rather, they can be shaped and enriched by simple choices you make each day, choices that honor both your body and your spirit. Here's to savoring each meal, cherishing each moment, and living with the same zest the Mediterranean elders have demonstrated for centuries.